Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something that had the entire internet playing detective for 2 solid months. And honestly, the way this whole thing unfolded was kind of beautiful in its own chaotic way. So, Chris Olsen, the guy who basically turned crying over Tate McRae songs into a full-time career, has been dropping hints about a new relationship since early fall. And I mean hints in the most Chris Olsen way possible, which is to say, extremely obvious hints that somehow still left everyone guessing. Before we get into the full timeline of this mystery, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're going to take our time with this one because, honestly, the journey is just as entertaining as the destination. The background. Let's set the scene here. Chris Olsen became internet famous alongside his ex, and when that relationship ended, the whole thing was very public, very emotional, and very much documented across multiple social media platforms. The man gave us vulnerability, he gave us healing content, he gave us those videos where he's just sitting in his car processing emotions at a Target parking lot. Relatable king behavior, honestly. Fast forward to this past summer, and Chris started posting these little snippets of his life that felt different, more private somehow. Which is ironic because he's literally posting them online, but you know what I mean. There was a shift in energy. August rolls around, and Chris posts a photo on Instagram where there's very clearly another person's hand in the frame. Just a hand, that's it. But the internet turned into the FBI. People were zooming in on the photo like it was the Zapruder film, analyzing the hand's size, the watch on the wrist, even the nail beds. Someone literally tried to determine the person's height based on the angle of the fingers. The dedication was both impressive and slightly concerning. Chris's response to all this detective work? A simple comment. "Y'all are doing too much." Which, fair, but also, Chris, you posted the hand, you had to know what was coming. The breadcrumb trail. September was when things got really interesting. Chris started doing what I can only describe as strategic soft launching. For those unfamiliar with the term, soft launching is when you hint at a relationship without actually confirming anything. It's the relationship equivalent of those movie trailers that show you just enough to get you interested, but not enough to spoil the plot. He posted a video making breakfast, and there were 2 coffee cups on the counter. The comments went wild. "Who is the second cup for?" people demanded to know. Chris, naturally, ignored every single one of those comments and instead responded to someone asking about his recipe for scrambled eggs. Then came the beach photos. Oh, the beach photos. Chris posted a series of pictures from what looked like a really nice vacation. Sunset shots, ocean views, him looking contemplative in a linen shirt, standard influencer vacation content. But in one photo, if you looked carefully, you could see the shadow of another person taking the picture. The shadow had a distinct silhouette. Again, the internet detectives assembled. People were cross-referencing the beach location with other influencers' posts from the same time period. Someone created a whole spreadsheet tracking potential candidates. A spreadsheet for Chris Olsen's mystery boyfriend. The internet is truly an unhinged place, and I mean that with affection. Throughout all of this, Chris maintained this very calm, slightly amused demeanor. He'd respond to comments occasionally with things like, "Mind your business, XO," or just heart emojis. It was clear he was having a little bit of fun with the whole situation. The clues piled up. October brought us even more breadcrumbs. Chris attended a friend's birthday party and posted group photos where one person's face was consistently blurred out or covered with an emoji. The same emoji every time, a little brown bear. This led to even more speculation. Was the bear significant? Did his boyfriend work with bears? Was his name Bear? The theories ranged from plausible to absolutely unhinged. There was also a TikTok where Chris was clearly having a conversation with someone off camera, laughing at something they said. The comments were entirely people trying to analyze the laugh in the background. "That's definitely a masculine laugh," one comment read, as if there was any doubt at this point. What made this whole thing kind of sweet, though, was that Chris never seemed annoyed by the attention. He was clearly keeping his boyfriend's identity private for a reason, but he wasn't being secretive in a way that felt manipulative or clickbaity. It felt more like he was protecting something precious while still sharing his happiness with his followers. During a podcast appearance in late October, the host asked him directly about his relationship status. Chris smiled, this knowing, soft smile, and said, "I'm really happy right now. That's all I want to say about it." The host respected that and moved on. But of course, that clip got posted everywhere with titles like, "Chris Olsen confirms relationship?" Around the same time, Chris posted a video talking about how he's learned to keep certain things private, about how not everything needs to be shared online, even for someone whose job is literally to share their life online. It was actually a pretty mature take, and you could tell he'd been thinking about it a lot. Then, 2 weeks ago, after months of speculation and detective work and emoji analysis, Chris finally decided it was time. He posted a photo dump on Instagram, and there, in the third slide, was a clear photo of him with his boyfriend. Just the two of them, smiling at each other in what looked like someone's kitchen, very casual and domestic and real. The caption was simple. "His name is Michael. He makes me laugh. That's it. That's the post." The internet collectively lost its mind in the best way possible. The comments were filled with people celebrating, people saying they'd been right all along about various theories, they hadn't, and people just expressing genuine happiness for Chris. What was interesting was that Michael isn't an influencer. He's not in the public eye. He's just a regular person who happens to be dating someone famous, which explains why Chris was so protective of his identity for those 2 months. It wasn't about creating mystery for engagement. It was about giving Michael time to adjust to the idea of being known by millions of strangers on the internet. Chris later posted a TikTok explaining this, talking about how he wanted Michael to be comfortable before introducing him to his audience. He acknowledged that his followers have always been supportive, but he also knew that dating someone with a large online presence comes with challenges, and he wanted to make sure they were both ready for that step. The aftermath? Since the reveal, Chris has been a bit more open about the relationship, though he's still keeping things relatively private. There have been a few more photos, a couple of TikToks featuring Michael in the background, but nothing overly couple content heavy. It feels balanced. What's been really sweet to watch is how his followers have responded. Most people have been respectful of boundaries, understanding that Chris can share his happiness without sharing every detail of his relationship. There's been this collective understanding that Michael didn't sign up for internet fame, and people have been generally cool about that. Of course, there are still some people analyzing every interaction, trying to figure out how they met, where Michael works, what his last name is, but Chris has been good about not feeding into that, and his fan base has been pretty good about self-regulating when things get too invasive. There was one funny moment where someone commented asking for Michael's Instagram handle, and Chris responded, "He has like 200 followers and wants to keep it that way. Thanks." Short, polite, firm. Perfect response. Chris also did a video talking about how different this relationship feels because it's not starting in the public eye. With his previous relationship, everything was documented from the beginning. And while that had its sweet moments, it also meant there was pressure to share everything. This time, he got to just be in a relationship without performing it for an audience, at least initially. Here's what I think is really nice about this whole situation. Chris Olsen managed to navigate something that's actually quite difficult. He's someone whose career is built on being open and relatable and sharing his life, but he still carved out space for privacy when it mattered. He let his audience in on his happiness without sacrificing his boyfriend's comfort or their relationship's intimacy. And honestly, the 2-month mystery period, while probably a bit frustrating for the detectives among us, was kind of perfect. It gave Chris and Michael time to figure out their relationship without external pressure. It gave Michael time to decide if he was okay with being known. And it gave us all a reminder that influencers are allowed to have boundaries, even if their job is to be public. The reveal wasn't some huge dramatic event. It was just Chris saying, "Hey, this person makes me happy, and I wanted you to know about him." Simple, sweet, and very much in character for someone who's made a career out of being authentically himself. So yeah, Chris Olsen has a boyfriend named Michael. The mystery is solved, the internet can rest easy, and hopefully these two get to just enjoy their relationship without too much scrutiny, because from everything we've seen, they seem genuinely happy together. That's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the whole mystery boyfriend situation. Were you following along? Did you have any theories? And remember to be respectful. These are real people with real feelings. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.